The purpose of supporting paragraphs is to do exactly that, support. The idea is that you're supporting your thesis, which is your main claim or your main opinion that you're trying to get across in your paper. Within your body paragraphs, everyone's writing is going to be a little bit different. So here's a structure that allows you to organize your ideas better, get across your main point really clearly, and also acknowledge other perspectives while maintaining and persuading your audience of your own opinion and pushing along that idea of your thesis. So let's look at what this looks like for the structure, and then we'll show an example. So first of all, you have to indent, of course. Right, so once you've indented, then you provide us with your topic sentence, which is the link to your overall thesis. So it's pushing along one reason why you think your thesis is true. You may have to provide context in the next piece to set up your quotation rather than just going right into your quotation. And then you give us your quotation. And by a quotation, I mean any fact or statistic, an outside source. If you interview somebody, that's going to be in that quotation area. Pretty much any outside research goes into that. Once you give your quotation, then you have to go back to your own thoughts, because once you provide somebody else's thoughts, you have to summarize their thoughts for your own audience for us to hear that point again in your own words. After talking about the quotation, it's great for you to be able to provide some rebuttal, and this is a good spot for it, to show us what does somebody else think, because as soon as you provide what somebody else thinks, we recognize as your audience that you're thinking about multiple sides, and so you're establishing more ethos because we know that you've heard multiple sides. However, don't want to hang on to that rebuttal for too long, because the rebuttal is saying exactly the opposite of what you want to. So you're providing another side, but then you're commenting on it with your own thoughts again. The idea behind the commentary is that you're providing your thoughts and pushing along your opinion. So now that we've heard multiple sides, but that we hear your side last, we agree with you, and you can sum up your argument within your paragraph by restating the main point and persuading us, leading us into our next paragraph. So let's look at the example. Again, in our example, we've indented, and then we provide our topic sentence. The thesis that I'm playing with right now is this idea that the driving age should be moved up to age 18, and in my body paragraphs, I'm going to support that idea by providing different reasons why the driving age should be moved up to age 18. So whether you believe this or not, work with me here. So here's the supporting paragraph for the thesis that the driving age should be moved up to age 18. So first of all, we have our topic sentence, which is one of the reasons why the driving age should be moved up to 18 rather than 16. Okay, do you notice I restated the thesis here? Is because, here's my reason, 18-year-olds' brains are more developed. Here's my topic sentence. You can expect in the rest of the paragraph that I'm going to be talking about brains being more developed. Okay, here's my providing context, setting up my quotation. So researchers and psychologists alike have studied brain development for years. Again, I'm talking about brain development, and I set up the idea that I'll be talking about researchers and psychologists. So here's my quotation, which I need to lead in. So I say, according to Mr. Rocket, I provide some information so that you know that he's legitimate. He's a lead scientist in neurological research. And here's the quote. Quotation marks. Male brains aren't developed until age 25, especially the frontal lobe, which impacts decision making. And then you'll notice there's an unquote, but the period's not until the end of the sentence, which is after I give the last name of our speaker. We'll talk about that more in a different video. Again, as soon as you finish up your quotation, tell us again in your own words while making a point. Because we know brains aren't fully developed until 25, that's what the researcher told us in the quotation. So here's my point that I'm making out of it. Another 2 years will make a difference on the road. Okay. Now I'm going over to the rebuttal. Here's what somebody else's opinion is. Even though others may think that 2 years will not impact driver experience, here's my even though although statement. So other people might think that it doesn't impact the driver experience. Here I'm going to prove to you with my thoughts that most accidents happen because of the lack of reaction time or the inability to focus on the present task. Okay, so I fight against that idea while still acknowledging that somebody might think that. This is a way for me to win over people who might not agree with what my thought is. Okay. I have another bit of rebuttal here just for fun. 2 years may seem like a short period of time, but here's my last bit of closing to wrap it all up. Research shows that waiting to get students on the road will impact safety in the long run, which is my point, that more developed brains lead to safety in the long run. So I'm appealing to the idea of brain development and to the idea of safety. All right, we'll be learning this a little bit more as we go and practicing on our own, but here's an introduction to having our topic sentence sandwiched in between with lots of different context with our own thoughts, that's in the green, and then we have quotations or outside sources to develop our points. We have multiple perspectives to show that we are mature enough to talk about a controversial topic and talk about the controversy within it, but ultimately make a point that helps further our thesis statement.